to make a few mistakes. But let's talk for a minute, Chrissie, about what our children need from us. What do they actually need from us as their parents? They need love, they need discipline, they need discipleship, they need boundaries. All of these things, they need community. These are the things that our children are looking to us for. And so those are the things we all can say, you know what, I can do that. And sometimes we just need to focus on what we can do, don't we, Chrissie?
Absolutely. Here's a big release for you right now. Here's what I want you to listen to. God knew what kind of parents your children needed long before you even thought of them, long before they even showed up. He selected you to be their parents. One of the most famous parenting verses comes out of Proverbs 22:6, and it says, "Train a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it." The very first word is what we're going to talk about today, train. Train. We are here to train you. That's what this conference is all about. And we need to focus on us, on what our part is. But don't ever forget that God selected you to be those kids' parents, so you're already equipped. We're just going to help you along the way.
That's right. I mean, as parents, we have this huge role, but we need to remember who the enemy is. The enemy is not us being fearful. So let me give you an example. Football season is here, right?
Yay!
And you're a football player and you're on the field and you make a mistake. Well, if you and your team just starts to belabor that mistake and get on down about that mistake and take your eye off your opponent, then your opponent's just going to kick your booty, right? Because you are focused on yourself. And I think as parents, we need to realize who the real enemy is and focus on what we can do, but know that this enemy is out there. And I love in Paul Tripp's book, Age of Opportunity, he talks about that the enemy wants your child's heart. And we need to remember that the enemy is working overtime, Christian parent, for your child's heart. And if our focus is so much on the things of this world for our child, and we all get wrapped up in it,
Absolutely.
right? We all get wrapped up in it, but we have to remember at the end of the day, what's our end goal? And our end goal is that our children walk with Christ, that they know Jesus Christ, that they're following hard after him. All this other stuff, it's going to pass away. And so we need to remember who the enemy is, and we need to fight like there is an enemy and not take our eye off the ball, which is that end goal.
Which I love. That'll preach right there. Let me give you a couple of things that can help us along this journey to fight off the enemy. And sometimes we need to focus on our walk with the Lord because our kids need something to watch. They need something to follow, kind of like a compass or a GPS. Lisa and I went to a wedding this past weekend, and I said, how did your GPS bring you? And she told me, along these nice highways, and it was just such a nice drive. Not ours. Our GPS took us down one-lane roads, and we had to wait to cross a bridge because there was so much traffic, and it was a rough road. That's just like parenting.
Yeah.
You're going to have some rough roads, but you're also going to have some smooth roads. And how you do that is to have authentic courage. Authentic courage means that you stand up for what is right. You talk about who the Lord is. You talk about who Jesus is. And the only way you can do that is to have a biblical worldview. Worldview. We can all agree this world has gone crazy. This is what the Lord talked about. This is how it's going to be. So we say there's nothing new under the sun. People faced this thousands of years ago also. The world was falling apart then. But here's the good news. When you dive into this, the Word of God, it will be the perfect compass, the perfect GPS. I like to think of every family unit as a little church. As a little church. I grew up in church. Lisa grew up in church. And that's how it is. We have all these people supporting us. I don't know if you've seen the new Allstate commercial, but Lisa, I love it, and it's a perfect picture of what I'm trying to talk about. Is you spend time in the Word of God. Deuteronomy says it should be at the forefront of your mind. It should be to the right. It should be to the left. When you lay down, when you
Yeah.
sit up, you need to be talking about it all the time, and it says to love the Lord. Well, you do that through His Word. So, the Allstate commercial. There's a lady driving and she just signed up with Allstate and there's a big marching band behind her. I think of your family like that. You are in the Word of God, but behind you are praying grandparents. There is Bible study. There is Christian schools. There is public schools, but there are so many Christians in those schools. There are Christians everywhere supporting you and cheering you on and playing that music to push you forward and to give you encouragement. Your best encouragement comes from the Word of God. So make sure you as a parent, before you can even train a child, before you can even look at the compass or put in the GPS, this is your GPS. This is what you need to do in order to train up that child, knowing there's a band of people behind you cheering you on.
That's a great picture.